Bishop Luers has one of the winningest traditions in Indiana high school football history. Now, a notably young Knights team led by underclassmen is looking to add to that tradition, but the Whitko Wildcats are a wild card. It's the first meeting between these two in 14 years, and it's a biggie. The road to Lucas Oil Stadium starts here. The opening round of the state tournament on the Neverends Sports Network is next. You're watching Friday Night Football on the Neverends Sports Network, presented by Indiana Physical Therapy. Greetings from Luers Field on the south side of Fort Wayne. Tonight, in the first round of sectionals, it's the Bishop Luers Knights hosting the Whitko Wildcats. Hi, everyone, and a pleasant Friday evening to you. Alongside Luers alum and former O-line coach Brent Eggs, along with our producer Doug Ferguson, director Jeff Keithley, I'm John Nolan. So glad to have you with us here for some postseason football. And Brent, tonight we kick things off in Class 2A at Sectional 35, where the winner of this game will move on to face either Central Noble or Fairfield next week. And both of these teams enter this game with sub-500 records from the regular season, but they're ecstatic about where their programs are.
Absolutely. I think they're not satisfied with their records being under 500, but they're both happy with the growth they see in their programs. And looking at this Bishop Luers team and how athletic, I feel like they can make a run and challenge anybody in this sectional.
Yes, certainly went through the gauntlet of the SAC schedule in the regular season.
Absolutely. That's going to prepare this team for what they've seen, ups and downs, adversity here and there, how they'll push forward tonight and moving forward.
See the Knights in the all-black uniforms here tonight, fired up, ready to go as we are moments away from our opening kickoff. And you can see it's a little bit wet down there on the sidelines, but no precipitation at the moment. So all things considered, after we had really stellar weather throughout the regular season, wound up with pretty wild weather today. At one point, it was near 80 degrees, had some big thunderstorms roll through the area earlier on. I think we'll be dry, but how could weather perhaps be a factor tonight?
You know, John, when you look at the playoffs in Indiana, this is what coaches preach. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to have discipline, and you got to have team chemistry, because all those attributes travel with you depending on the weather, depending on your opponent. Wherever you're playing, you got to have those components on your team.
And the Wildcats traveled here about 30 miles away from South Whitley over to the west. They're on the far sideline in the white jerseys with the blue helmets and blue pants. And again here tonight, not only do you have to consider if there could be any precipitation with thunderstorms, I think we are clear of that, but wind is something to keep in mind.
A wet ball from the ground and, a 15 to 20 mile per hour wind could slow down the passing game a little bit, but I look for Carson Clark's strong arm to pass through that wind.
Clark, the top passer in the state at the Class 2A level, has passed for 200 yards per game through the regular season against a Whitko team that's pretty balanced in terms of the run game and the pass game. Although that said, we expect them to run the ball a little bit more tonight.
Absolutely.
See some linemen out there as captains tonight for this one. We take a look at tonight's officials, the crew led by Tom Youth. Ben Rectanis, number 73, not only a senior captain for this team. Last time the Knights were home, or earlier in the season when the Knights were home on homecoming, he was crowned homecoming king.
Absolutely.
So the big man on campus in more ways than one.
Yes, he is.
And he was joined out there by Foster Johnson, senior right tackle, and a guy that you have experience coaching.
And absolutely, Foster Johnson is going to be key tonight. He's been out for 4 weeks from a groin injury. Getting him back, a week of practice last week, getting him back into game action tonight is going to be great for the Knights.
Yeah, not only do the Knights have to go up against the bigger schools throughout the regular season, they were undermanned at times, but they've weathered the storm for the most part, and now a more healthy team looking to prove in this sectional and around the state that they are a team to be reckoned with in 2A. So Luers will receive things first, and from the get-go, the Wildcats will get a glimpse of the speed that the Knights possess. Sir Hale and Krishan Menson back to receive. Sir Hale in the regular season at Wayne had a kickoff return for a touchdown.
He's a real burner, and he's so elusive. And I love the way, not a big guy, but can run the ball hard.
Congratulations to him in the last 24 hours. Found out he was named second team All-SAC. 10 other Knights earned honorable mention. Austin Krebs with the kickoff for Whitko towards the sideline. It remains inbounds. And the Wildcats recover a Knights fumble.
And that is a live ball, squib kick. They're trying to keep the ball away from the speed that you talked about, John. And Luers has to recover that ball knowing it's live. That's a huge start for Whitko.
Yeah, and talking with the Wildcats head coach Phil Jensen, his formula for how to pull off an upset here on the road. First things first was to limit their own turnovers and then create turnovers the other way. And so it's exactly the start that Whitko wanted.
Yeah, I think coming into Luers Field can be intimidating for teams just with the past success. Getting a big start like that could pay dividends going through this game.
And so now it's the Knights defense that'll get tested after player for Whitko is treated by the athletic training crew. It looks like Isaiah Kyles, number 24. Kyles, a two-way player starter for this Whitko team. He's one of their top targets offensively as a wingback and then plays in the secondary on defense, actually leads them in interceptions. And Brent, something to consider here, this is a Whitko team that has only 28 players dressed for this game in pads. Coach Jensen still trying to build up the numbers of this program, so you hope right now that Isaiah will be able to perhaps shake this off and return to this game, but a potentially big loss for the Wildcats.
Yeah, prepping for this game, you write down some key things that Whitko does, and he is one of the four key guys in their club. 420 yards receiving, 180 yards rushing from that wingback position. I hope he can return for Whitko's sake.
Yeah, and responsible for 9 touchdowns this year, second on the team. Well, when you talk about keys, what's key for this Bishop Luers defense here tonight? Because around the area, I think everyone respects the Knights offense, no question, but there are perhaps questions about this defensive unit.
I think first and foremost, like we talked about earlier, is being disciplined. Responsibility football, taking care of your gaps, and tackling. We got to tackle. We got to gang tackle. 11 guys have to get to the ball.
And already an offsides against the Knights, so only a second in here officially, and not how Coach Lindsay and company drew it up.
No, talking to Coach Lindsay this week, he wanted to see stops early and see if Whitko could adjust their speed. Here's the time to get a key stop.
Ethan Shue is the junior quarterback for the Wildcats, who on play number 1 have some misdirection. And the Knights defense, though, sniffs it out.
Great job by the backside end there, staying home. They ran a jet sweep that they've shown on film all week, away. The defensive end stayed home. Here came the reverse, and he was there to make the play.
That was Gavin Ness. This is a junior-heavy Whitko lineup. And Ness dragged down by a handful of Knights on defense, including Devon Doty, sophomore defensive lineman.
And what Luers has done leading up to the playoffs is they've gone smaller and faster at their D-line. We'll see if that makes some differences tonight.
Yeah, Doty, who's one of those honorable mention All-SAC guys, there in the middle of that line, next to another sophomore in Jaden Hill. Whitko goes to the air, and the pass is completed to Tyler Veach, yet another junior. A little bit shy of the first.
It looked like the Bishop Luers DB there kind of slipped on the hitch route that they ran, and Whitko threw a great ball on that hitch. He turned upfield and got what he could.
3rd and 1 on the opening drive of the game for the Wildcats. You see, went 4-5 in the regular season, and consider this. Over the previous 3 years, they were 1-29. So some in that South Whitley community, they were doing cartwheels this year. Coach Jensen, though, has got a winning track record from his years at Warsaw. He says, don't be happy, stay hungry. And he's looking forward to seeing what his team does here tonight going up against a big school from the SAC.
Yeah, and they ran a little smoke and mirrors here. They faked the jet again, and they tried to run a rocket screen where some of those big guys up front, like Braxton Coburn and Nick Meadows, could get in front. Luers did a good job staying home there as well.
So it sets up a 4th and 1. And if there is one position group for this Whitko team that does have some more seasoning, it is that offensive line starting 4 seniors and 1 junior.
Watch for Whitko here. When they get under center, it's typically a sneak. Timeout.
Timeout called by Whitko before the 4th and 1 snap. And we have to wait a little bit longer to see here if in your broadcast debut you're a young Tony Romo.
Well, watching film, you see how Whitko sets some tendencies. They like to stay in the shotgun with Shu and let him kind of direct the show. But when they need the short yardage, they either take Ness and put him under center or Shu, who's a big guy. We talked to Coach Jensen. This kid used to be an offensive lineman when he was in 8th grade, and he's a big, thick guy. If he gets under center, he can kind of lean forward for that first down behind those big guys that got the offensive guards.
You can see in that huddle right now, 73, Ben Rectanis, who began the season as a monster on that defensive front. Like you mentioned, they've mixed and matched there a little bit, but in a short yardage situation, he's back on the field.
Smart move by Carson Bradley, the Bishop Luers defensive coordinator. Try to get him in there and get some movement and change that line of scrimmage in Luers' favor.
So less than 2 minutes in, we've got a big play, 4th and 1. Shu under center. Hard count, he keeps it himself, and he falls forward. Looks like he has just enough to move the chains.
Like I mentioned earlier, Braxton Coburn, Nick Meadows, they're offensive guards for Whitko. One is over 300, one's close to 300, and they just get good movement.
Yep, and they got just enough on that 4th and 1. Well, talking with Coach Jensen coming into this game, he said his younger team's got 3 options going up against an SAC opponent here. You can be intimidated by the physicality of the Knights. You can quit or you can fight. So the first few minutes here showing some fight.
Early on,
there's fight back from the Knights.
Yeah, Luers is fighting back. I like to see 4 or 5 guys get to the ball there.
After a negative play, 2nd and 11.
I think if you're Coach Jensen with this type of offense they run a lot of jet, quick passes. They like to roll Shu out and throw from the run. You got to gain yards. You can't play behind the sticks and be 2nd and long, 3rd and long.
Classic postseason football here. It's wet. There's mud on the field. The white uniform's already looking dirty here in the opening minutes. You don't have the raucous crowd compared to years past here during this pandemic, as crowd sizes are limited. And so you can't chalk it up to noise being a factor here to cause the Knights for another pre-snap penalty.
Yeah, I don't think the coaches are right now very happy with 2 offsides in this first drive.
It's been an area of improvement over the course of the season where the Knights have trimmed down those penalties, but they flare up here in the first quarter. It's Gavin Ness to the outside, and he's got nowhere to go. Nelson Kanapke in on the tackle for the Knights with plenty of help.
Yeah, they like to bring Gavin Ness in a little wildcat. No pun intended with their mascot, but they run a little wildcat with them. They like to fake the jet and run a counter back. I'm looking for them to use that and actually run the jet, because Luers, they're all over that. They're not respecting the jet. They think he's going to keep it, because on film, that's what I've seen all week.
And the Knights were ready for it too. 3rd and 8.
They like to sprint out here and do a comeback route with their receiver.
Shu
in the pocket.
Lets it fly, and it's batted down, incomplete. Johnny Sewell and Sir Hale both in coverage.
That's a great play. Eyeing the quarterback, watching his elbow, breaking on the ball from Johnny Sewell from the safety position.
Yeah, and for Sir Hale, he's really turned heads around the area with what he's done offensively, but mentioned how he was named second team All-SAC, actually recognized by area coaches as a defensive back.
No, when you watch Sir Hale, and they're going for it here, John.
Yeah, they've only attempted 3 field goals on the year. Austin Krebs 2 for 3 with a long of 35. So in this spot of the field, going for it on 4th and 8. Shu pumps, airs it out. He has a man, and it's incomplete.
Great pressure there from Devon Doty. Great pressure from Nelson Kanapke. Without the pressure, that guy is wide open. Kind of made that throw a little bit more challenging than it could have been.
Yeah, and that said, Whitko probably feels like it just missed out on some points, as it was Ness who was behind the defense. And now S stays out on defense himself as an outside linebacker. He's got to watch out for. He's got a couple of sacks, leads the team with 3 fumble recoveries on the season.
Look for Luers, knowing Coach Lindsay and Coach Dancy, look for Luers to take a shot. They want to establish their speed earlier, and I know Coach Lindsay said he also wants to establish a smash mouth mentality, but look for a shot here.
Wind at their backs to start. Carson Clark, deep ball, incomplete. Had both Glenn and Krishan Menson running post routes.
Yeah, and what they did is they did a quick play action, a double post, making the safety make a decision. I kind of felt like those receivers were a little too close to each other. They want some more separation there, but they took the shot and just came up empty.
Drake Lewis, part of the coverage for Whitko. A Knights team that put up 23 points per game against SAC competition in the regular season. But right now, it's the first round of sectionals.
Another thing Coach Lindsay was looking for coming into the playoffs, I think he wants to pick the tempo up with the offense, go a little bit more no huddle, let Carson Clark take a little bit more control and get moving, because now, after playing teams that were 1 platoon, 2 platoon, they're playing guys that have both-way players like themselves.
Yep, definitely a different story than the regular season. Handoff for Sir Hale, who has a hole close to first down yardage.
Luers loves that play where they can pull from the backside, block down the front side, a counter tray, and let Sir Hale find a hole and get upfield. And here comes the no huddle.
Part of what makes the success for Bishop Luers this year remarkable is that entering the season, if you ask Coach Lindsay, who's the most dynamic guy in your roster, Ramon Anderson was the first name he said. Ramon's been out with an injury of late, but Sir Hale has more than made up for that absence. And who knows, maybe a chance Ramon comes back during a tournament run.
Yeah, that'd be quite the two-headed monster, John. Looking forward to that. That's a quick inside zone there. Great movement from the offensive line, Bishop Luers, getting some of those big guys, because they are undersized, getting those big guys moving.
First offensive possession of the night for the Knights. First and 10 from the 41. Hale to the left side, plowing across midfield.
That was a great trap by Brendan Mitchell. Stayed low, got his head on the inside, good kick out, and great cut by Sir Hale.
In case anyone's tuned in from outside of the area and you're wondering how much has it rained here, not only today but earlier this week, well, enough that the volunteers here, the Luers field dads who do such an amazing job and had painted the field earlier in the week, saw a lot of that paint disappear as a result of the rain. You can see a bit of a faded out night there in the center. Clark rolling, fires across his body, and the pass is caught. A first down and more to Jaden Hill, the sophomore tight end. But a flag.
Well, they had a guy in motion. Legal man downfield.
So that'll negate that first down, although in any case, you still get a glimpse of Jaden Hill's ability. So many standout sophomores for this Knights team. And both teams don't rely all that much on their senior classes, and that's why both programs are so optimistic going forward.
Yeah, and if you've been a part of the Luers program, you know Coach Lou Goodwin. I remember when I played, he looked at me as a sophomore after playing a regular season SAC and said, "You're no longer a sophomore. You are a junior in football, in the football world." So you look at some of these sophomores and juniors for Luers, they've got great experience coming into the playoffs.
Yep, and they're gaining more here tonight. Back on their own half of the field, it's now 1st and 15 for the Knights. Sir Hale shows his patience back across the line of scrimmage, and the smallest guy on the field is dragging defenders with him.
That's what I love about Sir Hale. Everyone talks about how fast and how quick he is, but he will lower his shoulder and he will run through anybody on the field.
Really incredible, so fun to watch. How about the praise that he got from OutsideTheHuddle.net earlier this week as one of the 5 players to watch in this 2A Sectional 35. They compared him to Alvin Kamara of the Saints.
It's a good comparison to the way he plays, though. He does it all. He catches the ball to the backfield. He's very elusive, like we talked about, and can run through people. I like the comparison.
Menson in motion. Clark pumps. Scrambles to the outside. Slings it. Caught. First down. It's the sophomore Hill.
Carson, controlled, eyes downfield, under pressure, running for his life a little bit, and finds Jaden Hill. That's an outstanding job by Carson Clark. No wonder he's thrown for over 1,800 yards.
Yeah, and in control and now leads the no-huddle offense. The junior who took over the reins here midway through last season, got fed to the Wolves right away, debuting against Bishop Dwenger, has really shown tremendous progress. New set of downs for Bishop Luers. Handoff, Hale. Wrapped up near the line of scrimmage. Ryan stumped the big guy up front to pull him down.
Yeah, he stayed low. He made a great move, crossed the face of a Bishop Luers Knight in the inside zone scheme, and made a great play in the backfield on Sir Hale. They got some size up front, and it could be a challenge for some of these undersized Knights.
Second and 9. Another handoff for Hale.
Yeah, they ran a counter tray there again where they pulled from the backside, blocked down the front side, and they beat them from the backside and made the play in the backfield. It's a tough play to make. Look for Luers and Carson Clark to pull that ball when they see that end crunching down the line and pull and keep.
And the first guy to corral Hale there, 33, Dean Box. He's a freshman, and yet third on the team, averaging 4 tackles per game. Between both teams, he's the only freshman starter. Although that said, the Knights have a couple of freshmen on the 2-deep this week. Clark finds Hale. Sir surveys to the middle of the field and down to the 1.
Wow, it's great to get the ball in Sir Hale's hands in space with no one around. That's one guy, if I'm Whitko, I'm not going to allow to be open.
First and goal coming up now for the Knights. Clark calls his own number, spinning ahead, in, touchdown, Knights.
Yeah, they did a great job. They ran that inside zone down the field, and Carson pulls it, keeps his own, like you said, kept his own number and got in the end zone.
And with the way that Whitko obviously needs to respect Sir Hale, sets up that play fake so well.
Absolutely, and that's a great job by Carson Clark reading that. He's watched the DN collapse down the line of scrimmage. He pulls, and he actually powered through somebody there. It wasn't a walk-in touchdown. He had to power through, and I like that attitude from him.
Tough kid. Now it's the sophomore Roel Pineda on for the extra point. He connects, and it's 7-0 Luers. We'll step aside. You're watching the first round of the IHSAA State Tournament Sectionals presented by Indiana Physical Therapy.
Welcome to Indiana Physical Therapy.
At Indiana Physical Therapy, our patients have had 20% greater functional scores for effectiveness. top 15% in utilization, with PTs ranking in the top percent nationally.
Are you
Our
getting
staff is
any of this?
comprised of certified orthopedic manual therapists, giving the patients optimal outcomes.
What he's saying is that Indiana Physical Therapy will get you feeling better, faster, and will get you back to your lives.
Choose Indiana Physical Therapy to get you back to work, play, and life. Call us today.
On the south side of Fort Wayne, you can only have family members gathered together here. You see some umbrellas out, although the rain seems to have stopped right now, and it went from being almost 80 degrees earlier this afternoon, now down to about 50 or so. So fall postseason football weather.
Yeah, it's here. And I think Coach Lindsay is happy with that first drive. He got a good stop after a turnover on special teams, and they showed some speed. They showed some power. I liked what I saw.
So the Knights are up 7-0, rebounding after they had fumbled the opening kickoff. Some trouble on this kickoff for the Wildcats, although control regained there by Gavin Ness, who brings it up out to the 20. So glad to have you with us here, streaming live the Neverends Sports Network with former Knight Brent X. I'm John Nolan. With everyone else here on our crew, so glad to have you with us here for this postseason run as the Knights try to make some noise in 2A.
Yeah, watching film on Whitko, I really think Ethan Shue is a great thrower on the run. Look for them to start trying to sprint him out and get him out of the pocket to be able to throw some of the comeback routes.
Here it's a handoff, and Cade Berg, their leading rusher, knifes his way through the middle. Sean Menson's helmet came off, so he'll have to step off the field on this play. Replaced out there by Nate Heflin, a member of the sophomore class.
It's good to have Krishan Mention back. He's a dynamic athlete at receiver, probably the fastest kid on Luers' team. Also a great corner that makes a lot of tackles.
Yeah, what an add to the program this year. He transferred in from Northrop and really just immediately fell in place here and felt like part of the family.
Yeah, 57 tackles in 6 games and 3 interceptions. I mean, that is an outstanding effort in 6 games.
Yeah, leads the team in interceptions. We'll see what the Wildcats go for here on 2nd and 4. They're using some clock, and that's part of the formula here for Whitko, trying to, as Coach Jensen put it, just get to the 4th quarter with the game close, and then who knows what could happen. Movement there on the right side.
Yeah, when you're Coach Jensen and you get 5 or 6 yards on first down, you're feeling pretty good about the drive where you can burn some of that clock, shorten the game a little bit, keep Luers' offense on the sidelines. But then you have a false start like that, and now you're kind of back to where you were. So I'm sure he was really happy after first down. Now he's kind of like, okay, now, next play, let's go.
Yeah, he's had to be patient with this group, but all in all, he really appreciates the buy-in that these kids have given and the commitment they've made. Shue going deep. Incomplete.
Had a man there. I think the conditions on that side of the field kind of slowed him down, but man, he had a man. That was a great throw.
That was Drake Lewis, the senior, streaking down the sideline. As the Wildcats took a chance, now 3rd and 9. And you can see why Ethan Shue went from being an offensive lineman to a quarterback, because they identified that arm strength.
Yeah, that arm is very strong. Like I said earlier, he's very good throwing the ball on the run. He does a good job just managing this offense. A lot of jet, a lot of reads. He does a good job.
Shue composed, pass incomplete. And even if it was caught, there was going to be nowhere to go because there were nothing but black jerseys over there.
Great play by Ramon Anderson. Breaking down a good form tackle. That's what you want to see if you're Bishop Luers coaching staff. Him coming up and sticking and running his feet. Nick Thompson also on that tackle. Another great sophomore.
Yeah, that sophomore class poised to be something special. And for Nick, not only in football, but basketball too. Cameron Sapp handles the punting duties. That one takes a Luers-friendly roll. And comes to a stop around the 42. Strong field position for the Knights for their second offensive possession.
And another stop by the Bishop Luers defense that Coach Lindsey's looking for. He wants to get stops, consecutive stops, and let his offense come in and let some fireworks go.
Whitko has 8 kids who start both ways, including the quarterback, Shu, who's a linebacker. So as this game goes along, still only in the first quarter, we'll see if the Knights perhaps can wear Whitko down a bit. Although, that said, Bishop Luers has 4 guys going 2 ways as well.
Sean
Menson makes a move, stays in bounds, touchdown, Bishop Luers. Krishan Menson from Carson Clark, 41 yards.
John, like we talked about before the game, speed. Could they stay with them with their speed? As of right now, doesn't look like it. But let me tell you something. Whitko will fight and continue to claw back in this game.
Yeah, Coach Jensen has said that's the difference between his team last year that went winless and this group that went 4-5. They can fight through adversity, but the question is, can they keep up with some of the speedsters? Missed tackle, and then Menson was gone.
And I also want to comment there about Brody Glenn. Everyone knows him for the deep ball threat. That's a block that sprung that touchdown on that play. That's an excellent play by Brody Glenn.
Absolutely great point. And another extra point for Roel Pineda extends the lead to 14-0 for the Knights. We'll take a timeout. You're watching first round of sectionals state tournament presented by Indiana Physical Therapy. Whitko fans making the trip here to the south side of Fort Wayne. And one thing to point out here, everyone's so appreciative of the fact that the season has made it here to week 10. Unfortunately, during a pandemic, as you'd expect, there have been some weeks where teams haven't been at full strength, or even now, unfortunately, this week, seeing some teams around the state have to forfeit games. But all in all, just hats off to everyone, from the kids to obviously the coaches and administrators, the families who pulled this thing off during COVID-19.
Yeah, they've really done a great job keeping this game on the tracks because these kids need football, and I think they appreciate it themselves.
Friday night football.
The energy coming from this Bishop Luers special teams unit is contagious. You watch them, there's 11 guys, everyone on that team, on the ball carrier. That's what Bishop Luers football is all about.
Yeah, and the contributions coming from all over. Let's go to Sulef, a senior, helping to make that stop. You wonder how much the Knights will benefit from the fact that so many kids got experience during the regular season as they dealt with, at times, really an overwhelming number of injuries. Missing, 6-8 starters when they had to play Bishop Dwenger. But now, all of a sudden, it could really pay off.
Yeah, and you talk about the Dwenger game. Luers fought hard for that first half. They battled, and it was a 14-6 game going at half. Coach Lindsey, I think, wants to see that defense, that team from that first half play 4 quarters. And that's where we're starting right now. We've played a great, solid first quarter.
Yeah, great pursuit there against Cade Berg, who really didn't have anywhere to go. Berg, a guy who's described as a battler, relentless, but again, this is something that Whitko from the Three Rivers Conference has not faced this season. Good to see Isaiah Kyles back in the game. Remember, the opening kickoff, he was down with an injury. Wildcats can use all the help they could get. Shoe goes down, however, a flag. It was Devon Doty, the sophomore, who dragged him down.
We talked about it earlier, John. Bishop Luers coaching staff has got a smaller D-line, quicker D-line. And it's causing trouble for Whitko early because I don't think Whitko's seen guys with this type of quickness. And Devon Doty does a great job in the backfield, just gets his hands up a little too high.
Horse collar flag. And so that marches things forward for the Wildcats. Winner of this game takes on the winner of Central Noble Fairfield. For a lot of folks, the game to watch tonight in this sectional, Eastside and Bluffton. Those two teams tied at 7 so far in the first quarter.
Looked like they were trying to set up a screen there, and Luers did a great job getting hands up and knocking the ball down.
Sets up a 2nd and 10. Ethan Shue, the junior signal caller, on 2nd and 10, fires, incomplete. Nice effort by Isaiah Kyles back into the game. However, he could not save that one from hitting the turf first.
And they've ran that play 3 or 4 times now. I'm looking for Luers DBs to read this quarterback's elbow in his eyes and step in front of one of those. And there's a lot of green grass in front of them if they do.
I mentioned how Krishan Benson's got 3 interceptions on the year. Sir Hale's got a pick. Shue releases, and no one was there. Drake Lewis not on the same page.
Yeah, Coach Bradley brought a good B blitz from the weak side, and I think he felt that pressure and had to get rid of it a little bit early.
So the Wildcats bring out the punt team here on 4th and 10. Cameron Sapp counts him up.
This is always a threat for Bishop Luers in the playoffs, this punt return team with Krishan Mention and Sir Hale back there. If any of these kids get a good punt, look for a big return.
That one goes to Menson's side, and it tumbles out of bounds.
I wouldn't be surprised, John, if that's kind of the game plan. At least that'd be my game plan. Don't let these guys get an opportunity to return a punt.
Yeah, Phil Jensen, Whitko's second-year head coach, was at number 1 for him on the points of emphasis was to limit turnovers. Number 2 is to limit big plays, and that includes on special teams.
Yeah, and he's doing a good job building this program. Like you mentioned earlier, the record before he got there. He started last year from scratch, didn't win a game. You could quadruple that the next year. He doesn't want, like you said, doesn't want everyone to get all excited. He wants them to be hungry, but I like his mentality as a head coach.
Meanwhile, Coach Lindsay continuing the tradition of success here for the Knights. Carson Clark to the outside. There's a flag on the play.
They're going to call a hold on
Antoine Lake, receiver.
But it's okay if I'm Coach Lindsay and I see Antoine Lake blocking like that. It's one of those I'll just say okay. But he's getting after it, and I think Coach Lindsay wants to see that physicality from him.
Right, and you saw that excellent block from Brody Glenn right there, number 6. Again, the first guy to help his good buddy Carson Clark up, and yeah, that toughness, that hard-nosed play, even from the skill position guys, definitely seems to be a factor that can lead to success for Luers.
Yeah, it's historic that if you get these outside guys blocking, your run game becomes big plays, not 6 yards, 80 yards. So they're doing a great job on the edges, on the perimeter blocking.
Creates a 1st and 18. And on the flat, it's Glenn. Glenn towards midfield.
Yeah, and Antoine Lake right there just made up for it. He got after it again. No penalty, same block, and he helped spring Brody Glenn there for a first down.
Yeah, on a 1st and 18, More than 18 yards gained onto the Whitko side of the field now. Hand off to Sir Hale's got a seam up the middle. See you later, Sir Hale. 46 yards. Touchdown Knights. It's 20-0 in the first.
Offensive line, great movement on the inside zone. Carson Clark has been keeping that ball, so it forced that defensive end on his side to stay home. It created a natural seam. Great job up front. There's 12, good cut, and goodbye.
That acceleration, so fun to watch. Already approaching 90 yards rushing in his opening quarter. And so the Knights, after a bit of a sloppy start, there was a turnover on the opening kickoff, some penalties. They have pushed that aside and have built a 21-0 lead. Still 33 seconds to go in the first quarter after this. Our coverage presented by Indiana Physical Therapy.
Polypro is more than some water epoxy spray-on. Our multi-stage process bonds to the surface and carries a 15-year warranty. Polypro is more than just spray and go. We'll prepare, grind, and patch the surface before we start. And Polypro is more than just 1 or 2 color options. Choose from a variety of designer colors and know that we'll leave the site clean, beautiful, and 100% antibacterial and antimicrobial. You want more out of your garage, patio, basement, or commercial space, and Polypro gives you more. Call for your free estimate or to schedule for summer.
21-0 Bishop Luers over Whitko. First round of this Class 2A sectional. It's only the 6th meeting between Bishop Luers and Whitko. Brent, we had said off the top, it's been 16 years, or I should say 14 years, since these two last played. 2006 in a sectional game, the Knights won 33-7. They met a couple years before that as well in 2004, another Knights win. Prior to that, you have to go back to 1986. That's the only year that Whitko won in this series, and that was the only year that Whitko then went on to win a state title.
Yeah, and you look at that 2006 game, the records going into that game were Luers was 2-7, Whitko 4-5, like they were 9th. You know, Luers won 33-7. So it kind of shows you what the competition Luers plays. Records don't mean much going into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's something that I'd like to talk about with you more as we go forward here tonight. What is sort of become a tradition here, been able to push the regular season aside, whether it was a successful one in some of the years when the Knights have won an SAC title, or in some more recent years where it's been tough to crack a 500 or better record in the SAC with the gauntlet of schools that they have to go through, 6A, 5A, 4A schools. But so far tonight, that tough schedule paying dividends for the Knights, who are up 21-0 at the end of 12 minutes.
Great start from the Knights, great start. This is a point when you're a coach, you don't want to have any letdowns, any breakdowns at all. You want to put the foot on the pedal, and finish them off. And if you're Whitko as a coach, you're down 21. One big play can kind of swing that momentum and get you back into it.
A Wildcats team that went 4-5 in the regular season in the Three Rivers Conference, and showed an ability to shake off some in-game adversity and play tough, and now this is their biggest test yet. First play of the second quarter, and it's a trick play, and it's a big hit.
Johnny Sewell. Coach Lindsay talked about Johnny Sewell earlier in the week, saying a lot of guys they talk about is Brody Glenn, Sir Hale, Carson Clark. But senior Johnny Sewell has came on in the last 3 or 4 weeks and done his job tremendously.
Yeah, Sewell, hard to believe, did not begin this season as a starter on defense and only found his way onto the 2-deep defensively midway through the season, a byproduct of some of the other injuries. But, boy, the senior stepping up as that was a pass from the receiver for Whitko, Drake Lewis, down the field to Gavin Ness, and credit the toughness of Ness for absorbing that hit. It's a hard-nosed, gritty group there for the Whitko Wildcats.
Absolutely. That's a hard hit. Can't really see him when you're catching the ball there, and it's almost a kind of blindsiding a little bit, but hopefully he can shake it off. It looks like he's up, moving around, walking off. Maybe they got the wind knocked out of him. He's a tough kid, and I expect to see him back in.
Early second quarter. Whitko and Bishop Luers.
I'll be curious to see how this defense responds to that hit that Johnny Sewell just put on. Most of the time, though, feed your defense. It'll become contagious. Let's see as this game progresses if this defense can lock down and get some more hits like that.
And he did that textbook too, right?
Oh, clean, textbook, head away from head, good shoulder pad to shoulder pad. It was a great hit.
There aren't a ton of seniors on this Bishop Luers team, but Coach Lindsay still raves about this senior class and the job that they have done in leading the young group of juniors and especially the sophomores who are seeing significant playing time.
Yeah, and there's one right there, Ramon Anderson, who came up. It was a rocket screen. He had big bodies in front of him trying to block and set up that screen. He ripped through them and made a great play.
Now a 2nd and 6 for Ethan Shue and the Wildcats offense.
It's a good spot to be in at 2nd and 6. You got 2 downs, you get 6 yards. You can pretty much open up your playbook and do whatever you want.
We'll see what it is that the Wildcats offense wants to do under first-year offensive coordinator Michael Jensen. Pass is incomplete. And if that last name, by the way, sounds familiar, yes, Michael Jensen, the son of head coach Phil Jensen, still in college working towards a double major in the business program at Indiana Wesleyan. Previously, he played quarterback for his dad at Warsaw and then was a quarterback with IWU. But in this weird year where there was no fall NAIA season, he has transitioned into a coaching role. I know you can relate to coaching running in the family.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually coached here with my dad when I first started, and we got to spend a lot of time together when you're kind of in those growing years.
And there were a lot of black jerseys with a sack play blown dead, so Devon Doty won't get to bring it back to the house, but another big stop by this Knights defense. Makes it 3rd and 6.
Yeah, Evan Linker, he just started playing middle linebacker Dwanger week. In 3 weeks, almost 30 tackles. He's kind of been that missing piece in this 4-3 defense. He does a good job. I know the coaches say we're still working on reading and filling, but he has a nose for the ball.
Yeah, great point. Solid punt there. Will bring the Bishop Luers offense back to the field.
Yeah, their punter's doing a great job keeping that ball away from the Bishop Luers return men. Not giving up the big play like you said.
Well, so far so good for the Bishop Luers offense. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns.
And they mixed it up. They've done a great job running the ball, and they've done a great job. Just Carson Clark is taking what the defense is giving him, and he's letting his athletes catch and run and make big plays in open space.
Clark, the junior QB, shovels it off for Krishan Menson towards the outside. Close to a first down for Krishan Menson, the junior.
I can't say enough, and I know the audience is probably like, this guy's losing his mind, but Antoine Lake on the perimeter is blocking like he's out of his mind, and he's doing a great job. He's springing these plays on the edge, along with Isaiah Simmons.
You'll love to see it. Back during your time as the offensive line coach, what kind of praise would you give on receivers who blocked?
I loved receivers that would block. We'd run an outside zone play, offensive tackle get a great hook block and seal that guy inside, and then you have a receiver blocking to the whistle. You're springing big plays.
It's another solid play for this Knights offense. That time, instead of a handoff to Sir Hale,
R.J. Hogue.
They go to the secondary option, one of the sophomores. Hogue,
R.J. Hogue,
averaging 6 yards a carry during the regular season. Got more than that there for a first down. Clark commanding the offense, moves Hogue to his other side. The southpaw uncorks. Menson, first down. Menson hurled out of bounds, and it's another first down for the Knights.
Yeah, that's like an element of the run game there, a bubble screen. To Krishan mentioned, once again on the perimeter, Bishop Luers is doing a great job blocking the Whitko defensive backs, and it's springing for 10 yards at least, and it's just moving the chains down the field.
Well, from the play calling to the execution, it feels like there's a really good rhythm for this Bishop Luers offense right now.
Absolutely.
Menson in motion. Handoff to Hogue. The sophomore bounces to the outside. It's yet another first down for Luers.
Great job by the offensive line running the counter tray again, pulling the backside, blocking down the front side, creating a huge seam for R.J. Hogue, who was patient, waited for the gap to open, and hit it hard.
Another example, too, of the depth all the way around for Bishop Luers. Clark, play action to the end zone. Glenn, incomplete.
Ooh,
Just out of bounds. Impressive nevertheless.
great catch. I'd like to see his feet because that was just spectacular.
No challenge flag to be thrown here yet in high school football.
Nope.
See what maybe Justin Prince, our friend from Fox 55, got with his camera over there in that corner. Clark gives Hogue, muscling to the second level, spun down inside the red zone.
Yeah, a quick inside trap there by Brendan Mitchell. Doing a good job getting his head inside the hole there that will spring R.J. Hogue for a 6-yard gain.
Mitchell, one of the unsung guys on the offensive line for the Knights.
Yeah, and you look at some of them on that offensive line, they're undersized, but they got that nasty in them, you know? And that is huge at the high school level.
Quick strike. Menson bounces off the defender into the end zone. Touchdown, Knights.
Yeah,
It's all Luers.
Running an RPO here, so Carson Clark is going to drop the ball, let his running back run his track, and if that outside linebacker comes up on the run, he's going to pull it and throw it. The outside linebacker came, Carson pulled the ball, threw it to Krishan Mention.
However, there was a flag that brings it back. So instead, 3rd and 10. Still 21-0, 7:44 to go first half. They're bunched together. Clark, back to pass. Uncorks, incomplete. Well, the chemistry between Clark and Glenn has been so pretty throughout the season. Here, however, 4th down now.
Yeah, and I think with Brody Glenn's numbers, people need to remember he's only played in truly 6 games, almost 600 yards receiving. Their relationship off the field is paying dividends from the offseason, what they were doing during the COVID lockdown.
Certainly. On 4th down, Clark goes to the end zone. There's Glenn. Touchdown, Knights. Back in sync.
Great pocket up front. Carson Clark was able to step up. Brody Glenn wide open on the seam route. Perfect pitch and catch.
Before you describe this offensive line as nasty, and in this case, nasty is nice, and it's led to this 27-0 advantage.
Absolutely. I think they're just used to playing that. We talked about it. The SAC front sevens that they've seen this year, Concordia, DeWanger, Snyder. And they just bring a different element. The competition that they bring, that Luers sees week in, week out, up front especially, I think that's the biggest area. It's definitely paying off right now.
No doubt about it. Roel Pineda, who's also on the soccer team here, drills his 4th extra point tonight, 28-0.
And if you're Coach Lindsay, you like to see that because he put them in a 4th and 10 pressure situation, and they didn't flinch. It was a great pitch and catch right down the seam. It's great to see.
Great to see. Well, tell us, as you've been a part of so many great teams here at Luers over the years as a player and then as an assistant coach, what's it like when you get to this point of the season? What sort of is that secret sauce that has led to all the postseason success?
I think when I was a coach one time, 2009, we played Bishop DeWanger the last game of the year. It was 63-0. Coach Matt Lindsay came in, pretty much cracked the DVD and said, we're moving to the playoffs. It's just a different feel. You get through that season, and the kids, you can feel the kids give an extra oomph at practice. You can feel them just flip a switch. It's just part of the process, and obviously the expectations at Bishop Luers are so high that the kids grow up this way. You know, they feel those expectations.
And this year's group with a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. Last year, a first-round exit against Eastside, 13-6. You can see what a difference a year makes in terms of the offensive potency.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the open, athlete to athlete across the board. I love Bishop Luers in this sectional against any team. I mean, I just watch them play. They are poised for a big run.
And we'll talk about this sectional more as we go along.
Live ball.
Luers in pursuit. It is gathered by Whitko. But the Wildcats still in search of a spark. Whitko had recovered a fumble on the opening kickoff of the game in Knights territory. They were threatening to score, but ultimately turned it over on downs. And it's been all Knights since. Ethan Shue pumps, deep ball, incomplete. Absolutely, Gavin Ness going full extension. And what a tough kid Ness is. He was hit hard earlier in this half. And right there showed off his speed, but just out of his reach.
Yeah, and that time Ethan Shue had good protection, be able to actually step up in the throw, and just slightly off there.
Shue threw for almost 1,500 yards in the regular season with a dozen touchdowns. That pass is incomplete, nearly intercepted by Sir Hale.
Yeah, they're coming back to that hitch route. Stop it, just a quick turn and stop. And I feel like these DBs are watching it progress each time. They're getting closer and closer to stepping in front of one.
And at this point, the Knights have forced punts or turnovers on down. They haven't created a turnover yet, but you do feel like that could be coming. Only a couple of completed passes so far for Whitko. That number stays at 2 for only 11 yards after that incompletion. And that was a third down play, so it's now fourth down and the punting unit returns.
Yeah, I think you said the 2 completions for 11 yards. That is a lot of that credit needs to go to that Bishop Luers front 4. They've been living in the backfield tonight, using their quickness, getting their hands up. They've been all over him all night, and it's been tough for him to step into a throw.
A couple of sophomores and a pair of juniors. And Nelson Kanapke and Devon Doty both recognized as members of the SAC All-Conference Honorable Mention Unit. See if we can see something special from the special teams. Menson to the outside. Near the boundary.
Got some excitement going down there, John.
Wet field. I'm not sure where there's some ankles broken.
I don't know.
Thought for a second Menson might have stayed inbounds looking to reverse fields. But all the excitement now goes away as there's a penalty against Bishop Luers holding. And so one thing here, Brent, you could look at the scoreboard, see 28-0 Bishop Luers, and as we have rightfully pointed out, there are a ton of positives here midway through the second quarter. That said, definitely coachable moments too, going into the halftime locker room and digesting the tape of this game afterwards. As so far, the Knights would probably like to cut down on some of the penalties.
Yeah, penalties, especially the undisciplined penalties, like lining up off sides. I know that turnover early, I'm sure Coach Lindsay has on his clipboard and he wrote it down. He's probably not going to be happy about that. And the best thing about coaching is coaching after a win. When the kids come in excited that they did great, now you can lay the hammer a little bit and coach them up and say, yeah, guys, this was great, this is great, this is great. But look at this. This could cost us next week.
And right now, another benefit of this advantage is getting to spread the wealth around a bit there. It's Devon Doty in on this series. Doty, another example of the depth chart offensively. Sir Hale, the featured back at this point. RJ Hogue, the secondary option, but Doty's got himself a touchdown on the year.
It's another RPO.
Pass completed to Sewell, makes a man miss, earns a first down, sniffing out more, all the way up towards the 30.
Yeah, that's another RPO where he drops the ball, running back runs his track, corner commits to the run, he just tosses it out there and lets Johnny Sewell run.
Carson
RPO
Clark,
meaning run pass option.
Yep, which has become more and more commonplace. And really, this Luers offense reminiscent or similar to what maybe a lot of fans watch nowadays on Saturdays in college football and on Sundays in the NFL too. And Carson Clark, someone who's really worked on his craft even outside of the school season, has taken advantage locally of Traction AP, as have a number of these kids. And yeah, it's really not a surprise maybe when you look around the college landscape. Heck, now even with Luers certainly representing in the NFL, not just Jalen Smith, but Austin Mack too. But, you know, Northeast Indiana, the 260 has got a lot of talent, and it's recognized.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in the World Series with Kevin Kiermaier. Yeah, Austin Mack, Jalen Smith, Jesse Bates.
Handoff to Doty, looking for space, rumbling forward, bringing defenders with him back across the line of scrimmage. And we should say here, as we near first pitch in Game 3 of the World Series, sure we'll have some people going 2 screens tonight.
Hopefully.
Maybe we got the World Series Luers alum Kevin Kiermaier with the Tampa Bay Rays on the TV, and you have us here on your computer, tablet, or phone. Or vice versa. Put the World Series on the smaller screen.
Yeah, let's get this on the big screen.
Go, Knights, go!
2nd and 9 for the Knights. Clark
Plenty of time.
lets it fly. Sewell, the catch, the first down, and he falls ahead towards the 10.
You know, the timing is what is the difference right now. They are very crisp on their routes, and he's throwing the ball early on their breaks, which he's getting better at every week. And I was out at practice on Wednesday talking to him, and I said, hey, you're doing a great job protecting the football. The last 2 weeks, he's had 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he looked at me and said, I got to get a lot better. Like, he is a humble kid who knows he needs to work and keep working. And it was a good conversation we had.
That's awesome to hear. Handoff to Doty, outside of the right. Yeah, and for Carson, I mean, that kind of attitude propelled him this year because he got to start as a sophomore late in last season, but he came into this year feeling like he needed to fight to keep that spot, and certainly was pushed by Nelson Kanapke, who's a fine option as well for the Knights.
Yeah, who has that Kanapke last name with Norm and James. There's a lot of tradition with the Kanapke name in the Luers record book.
Yeah, no doubt. And Norm now a part of the staff, helping to groom these young quarterbacks.
Yeah, quarterback coach. He does a really good job.
2nd and 7, play action. Clark rolls, lets it go, incomplete.
I love that under-centered counter boot. I love it. Good play fake, good sickle pull, a deep pull from Brendan Mitchell. He squares the guy up. Carson gets out to the boundary, and he had Brody there.
I'm glad that with you we can give the proper praise to the O-lineman.
Absolutely. I've been watching George Boudet, who I want to go into, but he blocks to the whistle.
On 3rd and 7, it's a handoff for Doty, the sophomore, churning towards the goal line, and just short of a touchdown, but he's got a first down.
Right there, another counter tray, pulling the backside, and George Boudet leading the way with Doty behind him. The plays worked all night long.
Knights looking to hurry up with 1st and goal from the 1, but Phil Jensen calls timeout for Whitko as his Wildcats try to catch their breath. And we'll look to make a goal line stand when we come back.
Polypro is more than some water epoxy spray-on. Our multi-stage process bonds to the surface and carries a 15-year warranty. Polypro is more than just spray and go. We'll prepare, grind, and patch the surface before we start. And Polypro is more than just 1 or 2 color options. Choose from a variety of designer colors and know that we'll leave the site clean, beautiful, and 100% antibacterial and antimicrobial. You want more out of your garage, patio, basement, or commercial space, and Polypro gives you more. Call for your free estimate or to schedule for summer.
A look at the bleachers here, the home side at Luers Field on the south side of Fort Wayne, where those cheerleaders have had a lot to be excited about tonight as the Knights have a 28-0 lead and are knocking on the door for more. 1st and goal from the 1 for Carson Clark and Bishop Luers. Clark has surpassed the 2,000-yard mark in passing on the season. Could he try to sneak it in himself here, though? No, instead it's a pitch to the outside. Doty sheds a tackle. Touchdown, Luers. 2nd of the season for the sophomore.
Under center, which you don't see Luers do often, get under center in that pro formation. The old sweep where he wheels around, tosses it out. Good pull inside by, I think that was George Boudet. And Doty gets in the end zone. Good stiff arm there.
Doty, a basketball player as well. The girls' basketball season starting pretty soon. Soccer has wrapped up, so Roel Pineda focusing on those extra points. Haven't needed a field goal tonight. He's 5 for 5, though, on the PATs. Inside of 4 minutes to go in this first half. And Bishop Luers in business.
This has to be a confidence booster so far for this Bishop Luers defense.
Indiana Physical Therapy is your trusted choice in Northern Indiana. For over 30 years, we've treated all walks of life, from peewees to professionals and Olympians, and everyone in between. Schedule at any of our 19 convenient locations, even without a doctor's order. We communicate with your doctor throughout your treatment. Indiana Physical Therapy is cost-effective, accepting all insurance plans and networks. We're open from 7 to 7 and can get you in the same day you call. Choose Indiana Physical Therapy to get you back to work, play, and life. Call us today.
$35-0 Bishop Luers after Devon Doty 1-yard touchdown run. Roel Pinedo with the kickoff. And it's Gavin Ness out to the near sideline. Again, credit the hard running for Ness, a junior. And the junior class for Whitko here, regardless of the final outcome here tonight, they're going to be gaining some invaluable experience to take forward into next year as this Wildcats program continues to grow under the leadership of Coach Phil Jensen.
I agree 100%. You know, we talked about 0 wins last year, 4 wins this year so far. And because of COVID, I think he said it kind of hurt their opportunity to get more kids out. And they only have 28 kids on the roster. This will help for next year recruiting the hallways and getting some more kids out.
Cade Berg to the outside with the biggest offensive play yet tonight for Whitko. Berg's motor never stops.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for Whitko to get on the board before half and get a little momentum, and you know, you never know what could happen after half. And if you're Bishop Luers and you're that D coordinator, you want that shutout for confidence. You want to set the edge there. Do not allow them to keep moving down the field.
Now Ethan Shue tosses it to Berg, and he is stuffed at midfield.
That's a great gang tackle right there. 5 guys, all to the ball, all making contact at the same time.
Loss of 3, now 2nd and 13. Shue uncorks, juggled, and caught. Nice grab there by Drake Lewis, a senior.
Yeah, there's Shue on the run, throwing the ball by rolling to his left. And that is a great throw on the run to a comeback by Drake Lewis right there.
Lewis tied for the team lead in receiving touchdowns in the regular season with 4. Whitko still in search of its first points of the night. And, you know, when you talk about sort of the game plan here for Whitko, they were hoping for a tighter game, not having to play from behind because they wanted to try to run the ball a little bit more tonight, but no success on the run right there.
That is Jaden Hill with a quick swim move inside and making contact 3 yards in the backfield. That's a great play.
If you're a Bishop Luers fan right now, you need to sort of temper your excitement for the present with the future because all these sophomores really both sides of the ball here dominating this game. Got to realize, though, the sophomores now can still be a part of something right now.
Yeah, what are you saying, John? I'm a little too excited here.
No, I think for good reason. Fun week to be a Bishop Luers fan. You've got your team right now up 35-0 in the first half. That's incomplete. Mentioned Kevin Kiermaier now center stage in the World Series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Austin Mack has seen the field the last couple of games for the New York Giants, his first NFL game action, including last night, national TV in primetime. And I know he didn't have a catch in last night's game like he did on Sunday in a New York win, but from following some Giants fans online last night, they really loved the physicality that Austin Mack plays with as a receiver.
That's what I was going to say. I think some of these Luers guys on the perimeter, they might have been watching last night, watching Austin be so physical, getting in people's faces a little bit in a good way, being physical, setting the tone, really. Here's a screen.
Screen from Clark to Hale. Like a jitterbug across midfield. Takes almost the entire defense to bring him down.
That's a great setup screen by the offensive line. They set up a little picket fence, and they get moving. If you're Coach Lindsay right now, you got to be pretty happy with this offense and the way it's clicking.
And all facets. Thank goodness the rain stopped.
Oh, absolutely. I just love the way these receivers are blocking on the perimeter. I think when Coach Lindsay talked to me earlier, he said he wanted to see more physicality. That's exactly what he's getting.
Clark going deep to Glenn. He hauls it in. It's a big gainer into the red zone.
Big play, Brody Glenn. All year long, Carson Clark has felt comfortable throwing the ball over the top, and no different tonight.
Yeah, what do you think it's like for a QB to have that kind of connection with the receiver?
Oh, they've worked on it all year in the offseason. But I think what is helping Brody Glenn now is Coach Lindsay's established other targets for Carson. Krishan mentioned. And a huge pancake by Rick Cannis there.
And it helps spur Hale into the end zone. 41-0 in the first half. Ben Rectanis started this season as a starter on the defensive side of the ball. Wasn't necessarily first string on the O-line. Obviously, he's capable, but trying to save him right for the full season. And now, though, really making his presence felt on that O-line.
No, I think that was a great move. It solidified that offensive line with a senior at center.
And the extra point is good for Sydney Strack. Sydney Strack a couple weeks ago made Knights history as the first female student athlete to score a point at Southside when she converted on a pair of PATs. And now she adds another chapter in the record book, doing it in a postseason game. Congratulations to Sydney, the senior from the soccer team, who now is knocking down extra points here in a state tournament game. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
We'll be proud to show our loyalty. We will sing your fighting song.
So many highlights from this first half, including seeing Carson Clark eclipse the 2,000-yard mark for the season. So that means he's got over 200 yards here tonight.
Yeah, and coming in, he was the #1 passer in 2A. So he's just adding to that, which is awesome.
Really incredible how much talent there is at the QB position, specifically in the SAC, where here you got Carson topping the state in 2A, and yet with some of the dynamic throwers in the SAC, unfortunately there wasn't enough space for a junior like Carson to get all SAC honors, but I think he's going to be a candidate for that next year.
Yeah, when I asked Coach Lindsay what he wanted to see tonight, he said, I want to show our speed and see if they can keep up. And how silly as it sounds, I want to show how physical we can be in the running game. And they've done both. They've ran by them, and they've ran through them, and they've looked very good doing it.
Sure have. How about for you? What have you noticed from Carson going back from last year to this year? I know you did touch upon this year of late. He's cut down on the turnovers, which is huge. But overall, how does he look different now than this time a year ago?
I think when you throw a sophomore in at the high school level at quarterback against anyone in this conference is a struggle. But last year he came in, his opening game was against Dwenger, and then he played South, and then he played Snyder. That's a tough way to start. And I just remember Carson getting hit early in that Dwenger game and shaking it off, and you knew right then that eventually he is going to be really good. May take some time because he's a sophomore. But just watching the way he keeps his head and eyes downfield when he scrambles and the way he steps up in the pocket, he's so much more comfortable than he has been in the past.
Flea flicker, incomplete. Almost an interception for Johnny Sewell. And you can see there's still a lot of hunger in this Knights team right now, not satisfied with the score where it's at, knowing there are still plays to be made.
Great discipline from Johnny Sewell. You see run there, your read steps tell you to take 2 steps back and start attacking downhill. He stayed home. I'm sure the Bishop Luers defensive coaches showed that on film all week. He sat in center field, just missed the opportunity for the interception. Here's their little wildcat.
It's Berg.
It's a good run.
Speaking of the Wildcat here for these Whitko Wildcats, their first-year athletic director is Julius Mays, who is a Wildcat at the University of Kentucky, member of their basketball team 2012, 2013, a year when UK was #1 and he was a starter for them. So congratulations to him now as he looks to lead the Whitko program. Coach Jensen has said it's been fantastic working with Julius so far this year, and obviously a year like none other in trying to be a leader. On the ground, a first down. Cade Berg shows that relentless nature. See if Whitko runs another play, or perhaps looks to head into the locker room and regroup.
L-E-T-S-G-O, let's go. L-E-T-S-G-O, let's go. Nice. Let's go. You got it.
Flag out.
Let me say, John, that is 2 quarters of Luers football right there. I know what Coach Lindsey's going to say when he goes in the locker room. He's going to want 4, but that is a great half of Bishop Luers football.
Yeah, hard to believe that it started with a fumble and a penalty, and ever since a nearly flawless performance by the Bishop Luers Knights here in the first round of the state tournament. 42-0 as they go into the locker room, and the Knights look to advance in the state tournament as the march to Lucas Oil Stadium is on.
Polypro is more than some water epoxy spray-on. Our multi-stage process bonds to the surface and carries a 15-year warranty. Polypro is more than just spray and go. We'll prepare, grind, and patch the surface before we start. And Polypro is more than just 1 or 2 color options. Choose from a variety of designer colors and know that we'll leave the site clean, beautiful, and 100% antibacterial and antimicrobial. You want more out of your garage, patio, basement, or commercial space, and Polypro gives you more. Call for your free estimate or to schedule for summer.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and round.
The Acme Bar and Grill, where neighbors meet. A Fort Wayne tradition since 1941. We feature nightly dinner specials along with our iconic pizza, wings, and pork tenderloins, and barbecue in our family-friendly atmosphere with a retro flair. Additionally, we offer a full bar with 26 beers on tap from various Midwest breweries. We also have an area perfect for private events such as meetings, reunions, and banquets that holds up to 50 people. The Acme Bar and Grill, located in the heart of East State Village, where neighbors meet.
Welcome to Indiana Physical Therapy.
At Indiana Physical Therapy, our patients have had 20% greater functional scores for effectiveness, top 15% in utilization, with PTs ranking in the top % nationally.
Are you
Our
getting
staff
any
is
of this?
comprised of certified orthopedic manual therapist, giving the patients optimal outcomes.
What he's saying is that Indiana Physical Therapy will get you feeling better, faster, and will get you back to your lives.
Choose Indiana Physical Therapy to get you back to work, play, and life. Call us today. Indiana Physical Therapy is your trusted choice in Northern Indiana. For over 30 years, we've treated all walks of life, from peewees to professionals and Olympians, and everyone in between. Schedule at any of our 19 convenient locations, even without a doctor's order. We communicate with your doctor throughout your treatment. Indiana Physical Therapy is cost-effective, accepting all insurance plans and networks. We're open from 7 to 7 and can get you in the same day you call. Choose Indiana Physical Therapy to get you back to work, play, and life. Call us today.
With the former Luers Knight, Brent X, I'm John Nolan. And on behalf of everyone else here on our Neverends crew, thanks so much for tuning in here as Bishop Luers hosts Whitko Sectionals first round. It's presented by Indiana Physical Therapy. A dominant first half for the Knights. And so, Coach, you've been in those locker rooms in the past, and obviously there's a lot to like, but that's it. As a coach, working with teenagers, what's the message here now coming into the second half?
I think in the coach's office, we're obviously talking about keeping guys healthy, keeping guys healthy, and at the same time, you want to come out and give your starters one last series typically to keep them going. But as a player, you got to know that you're up 42-0, and you want to finish strong and then be able to cheer on the younger guys. And it looks like that's what Bishop Luers is doing. The starting defense is on the field. Hopefully they get, for their sake, a 3 and out. And then you'll probably see a lot of these guys coming off and getting some of the younger guys in.
And the winner of this one moves on next Friday to play the winner of Fairfield and Central Noble. Intercepted by Krishan Benson. His 4th of the season to lead the team. And so the Knights don't lose any momentum in the locker room. They come out and come through with another defensive play.
And yeah, Whitko came back to that hitch route we talked about earlier. And Krishan mentioned, seen it all night, stepped in front. Great play by him. He's such a spark plug for this team offensively and defensively.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as we go along in this sectional to see how the Knights stack up against the other competition going forward. You look at a Fairfield team with a really strong record. A lot of people think Eastside maybe would be the favorite, but hey, if anyone's been tuned in here to what we're seeing here tonight, it would be hard to think that Luers isn't going to have a say in who wins this sectional.
Absolutely, and here's Luers backup Nelson Kanapke at quarterback with the starting unit. Probably trying to get him some reps just in case. But going back to your point, John, you look at Luers player by player across the board, from receiver to offensive line to running back to the defense, where I really feel they are more athletic. They play a more physical schedule, where next week, if you're going to Fairfield, who is up at 22-0, you got a team that's a different type of animal that you haven't seen. It's a triple option type team. They have a good quarterback who is a big kid. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. His name's Corey Lance. He leads the team in rushing, and he's throwing for like 4 attempts a game. So they're a triple option team. They're not looking to throw. They're going to play triple option. And as a defense, you haven't seen triple option all year. It's about discipline, about taking away the B gap and having your corners come up, string it out, and use your speed to try to slow down that option.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of our audience here maybe also roots for Notre Dame football in that annual game against Navy, even in years when the Irish could be a top 25 side and Navy's not. That game's always neutralized by the fact that Navy's so proficient with that triple option.
Absolutely. And it takes a good quarterback who can read a defense to be able to run it, and they got a good one in Corey Lance. They got 2 good running backs, Carson Abramson and Quinn Kidson. who they're big kids. They're like 6 foot, 200 pounds apiece, and they run hard.
Well, the Knights got a couple of strong quarterback options themselves, and we see it right here from Nelson Kanapke. He finds Antoine Lake. You loved what Antoine did in the first half, blocking-wise. Here, he shows off the hands.
Yeah, he blocked all first half, and now he's getting the rock, and that's how you reward a player. You put the film on, you show him blocking. Now he's catching balls, and hopefully he gets to put one in.
I really loved what you said in the first half, too, about good chance that everyone in the Luers community was watching Austin Mack last night with the New York Giants and seeing the job that he does as a physical blocking wide receiver. And, of course, if you're now part of the next generation, you want to follow suit.
Absolutely. He has 1 catch in 2 games, but he's making a difference. He's making a difference on the perimeter, and they ran like 48% to his side. They know how good a blocker. Here goes R.J. Hogue.
The Knights run it with Hogue to the left side. He's in the end zone. There was a flag, though, and this could be coming back for holding or a block in the back.
Great job by the offensive line. George Boudet, Garrett Schwederman, Isaiah Simmons at tight end. I'm an former offensive line coach. I didn't see a hold on that play, but, I never saw a hold.
See, you got to love the NFL this season. I've seen the data has shown that offensive holding has gone way down in the NFL as scoring has gone up.
It should. Let them, if they're in the trenches, let them fight it out. Obviously, if it restricts a player from making a play, you got to call it. But away from the ball, I've never been a fan of a holding penalty.
After that holding, it's now 1st and 14. Knights go back to the ground, and you may have noticed here, regardless of whether it is a run play or even an incomplete pass, we have a running clock in this second half. That was a rule instituted in the state in the last couple of years. When a game is 35 points apart or more in the second half, automatically it is a running clock, including here in the postseason.
And that's why I think Luers keeps most of their starters in for 1 series, just because how fast it goes. They got to get those younger guys in for some carries. Here goes R.J. Hogue again.
Young guy in the end zone, touchdown. The sophomore scores. 24-yard touchdown run for R.J. Hogue.
Billy O'Connor with a great pull and block all the way to the whistle. Springs R.J. Hogue. Great job, Billy O'Connor.
During the regular season, O'Connor led the team in pancake blocks.
Hard nose, man. A lot of these offensive linemen, like we said earlier, are undersized in the SAC, but they just have that nasty attitude.
Extra point good for Sydney Strack. It's her 2nd tonight. Awesome to see, and it was so cool how when Sydney had made her varsity debut at Southside a couple of weeks ago in a Knights win, the sideline just went nuts and crazy when she made school history by becoming the first female student athlete to score a point.
Yeah, historic. That was historic. Great to see.
So awesome job by Sydney, who in that case was pinch kicking when Roel Pinedo was down with an injury that he had sustained in soccer. In this case now, it's a chance again for the depth to get some critical reps in all phases of the game.
I agree. And I think Luers will come out with some backups here on their defense, get some of these sophomores and even freshmen that they have added from the freshman season being over. This is how you build depth, not only for this year. I remember when we had teams that would make state championship runs, you would build the depth in the playoffs through practice, extended weeks, and then getting, second half reps of games. But those 6 weeks of going for winning the state title is 6 weeks of growth for freshmen at the varsity level.
I know you mentioned earlier how it's just a tradition here at Bishop Luers that even if you have a tremendous regular season, or if you kind of take your lumps against some of the 6A schools of the SAC, you brush that aside and it just resets here in the postseason. But that said, especially in a year like this where it was a 3-6 regular season, and if I think you're part of the program, you know that there was this reason to be optimistic. But that said, it's still not an easy thing to keep teenagers positive all the time when they're on the other side of this, what we're seeing here tonight, in some cases against the Carroll or whatnot. So as a coaching staff, what does it take to make sure that these kids still believe and sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel that, hey, if you stay committed here, stay tough, your time's going to come?
I think as a coaching staff, say you're 1-4, in the halfway point of the season, and it's a grind every day trying to get better. You have to set realistic goals for your team that you can see on film. So for an offensive line, for example, if we're not doing well at setting the edge and hook blocking and be able to run around the edge, I want to work on that all week and say, this is the only thing we get better at. That's okay, but we're going to get better at this. And then each week add to that as you approach the playoffs. And then when you get to we call it the second season at Bishop Luers, you get to that second season where you can swipe the record clean, look at the guy in the glass and say, what was I good at? What do I need to work on? It's never too late to do the right thing and improve on those little things. Like this defense, they've struggled all year stopping the run. Tonight, I don't have the stats yet, but they've done a great job. They've played fundamentally sound defense, keeping outside arm free at defense end, linebackers filling, gang tackling. It's been fun to watch.
Second season has started with a bang. That pass completed by Ethan Shue, up ahead to Cameron Sapp.
And here they are rotating some of the younger guys.
Yeah, and again, sort of underlying reasons for tremendous excitement about Luers football, not just this postseason, but for years to come. Not only are you getting the amazing contributions here at varsity from sophomores and juniors, but a successful season for the freshman program. So they had one real impressive win against Northrop during the regular season. I know you keep tabs on some of the feeder programs in the area too, and a lot of things to look forward to.
Yeah, when you go out and watch some of the feeder school games I've done this year, I'm really excited about this 8th grade group coming in with this offensive line. There's a Cotter, there's a Brow, there's some Luers names. They're big, they're physical, and they play for the Knights, which is a feeders program for Luers. And then if you get younger, I'm really excited about that 5th grade class, to be honest with you. They just have fun playing the game at that level, and they're very exciting to watch.
Well, these Knights are certainly having fun tonight, too. There's a little bit of fun for Whitko. It's been fewer and further between, but a first down for Isaiah Kiles. And again, awesome to see Isaiah battle through in this game after he was down with an injury earlier. And you see a little bit of head nod there. Good body language from the QB, Ethan Shue. Good attitude. I mean, an example of how this Whitko team is one that doesn't quit. Earlier this week, Coach Jensen didn't love the intensity that his kids were practicing with, and so he actually ended the practice earlier. He kind of ripped into the group, ended practice earlier, and then how did they respond the next day? They beat him to the field. And so they've had that kind of effort and commitment throughout the season, and it's going to pay off going forward.
Absolutely. And this is invaluable experience tonight because, like you said, this is a junior-led team. Most likely, you'll be seeing the Luers again next year in the same section. So you're getting experience here. It's not going your way, but you're learning from this, where you need to go and what you need to do. And like Coach Jensen said, we're going to keep building and adding players to this roster from the success we've had, but we're not satisfied. We want to be hungry doing it.
Yeah, and similar to what we were highlighting with Bishop Luers, Coach Jensen really likes what's going on with the middle school programs and even a youth flag football program over there in South Whitley. A lot of good coaches helping to produce these high school football players that here are in the postseason. It's the road to Indy, and it's 49-0 Bishop Luers at the end of 3 quarters.
right, the team to fear. Prepare to take notice as the chairs are here. Don't doubt it. Get ready for a fight because you're dealing with the red, black, and white. Night, 2, 3, night. Let's go, everybody.
Got the pleasure of sitting next to a distinguished Luers alum here in Brent Eggs. I'm John Nolan. It's the fourth quarter now, running clock. Knights up 49-0 on the Wildcats. Incomplete on the post pattern.
Again, Bishop Luers front four pressuring Ethan Chu, and they've been in his face all night long. And it's been tough for him to be able to step into a throw. I just like the way he's competing, though. He keeps coming back for more. He keeps grinding his team forward. He's not quitting. He's fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta respect the mental attitude that the Whitko team has had here tonight. And by the way, I know it's tough to earn accolades like that with all the distinguished Luers alums that are out there. What's the key? Just knowing John Feltz?
I think so. John Feltz is the key. That's a fake punt.
And it's Berg picking up the first down and nearly getting all the way to the end zone inside of the 10.
We talked about the no quit of this team. I mean, it's easy right now to be a high school kid, be down 49-0 and just call it a day. You know, this is a fight from this team. I'm sure Coach Jensen's going to look back at this and say, we made mistakes early that put us in a hole, but we didn't quit. Big plays.
Yeah, and Berg really epitomizes that for this Whitko group. Leading tackler on defense as a linebacker, leading a rusher on offense, and at that time leading the special teams. And hey, something to keep the Knights on their toes now for going forward.
Yeah, if they want to keep this shutout, a lot of defenses want to keep the shutout. It's a pride thing, and Luers hasn't had one yet.
Handoff, Berg. Group tackle. Under the lights on the south side of Fort Wayne. The Knights figure the way that the bracket is set up to be on the road next week. Looks like it'll be against Fairfield. You were talking about what they're capable of with the triple option, and you know, anyone who's able to hear you on Redeemer Radio on Tailgate Talk, you know, not surprised by what has now transpired here. You are confident in this Luers group and what they're capable of. It's a handoff and a touchdown.
Yeah, we do Tailgate Talk on 106.3 FM on Friday nights at 6 o'clock. And last night, or tonight, we talked about what we could see from Luers. And I was the one person on the show that said, I like the way Luers matches up with this sectional. And we're starting to see it right now.
Yeah, and by the way, that touchdown run was for Kyler Bryant. That's the first touchdown of his career, and actually another good example of what this Whitko program's about right now. Bryant, a senior in his first year of playing football. You made the comment before about how all of a sudden it's becoming a respectable thing in the hallways, a cool factor to be on the football team and be a part of a group that's doing things the right way. So you get a senior like Bryant, who's a basketball player, to play football here in the fall. He wasn't the only one to join the roster here as a senior, and I think that's pretty cool. He gets rewarded with a touchdown here in what looks like will be the end of his football career, and wish him the best of luck on the hardwood.
Yeah, what I like to see right now is you see Coach Bradley and Coach Mick Palmer down talking to some of these young guys, coaching them up. Obviously, they drove the field there. There's probably some missed assignments, so it's good to see these young guys getting coached up in game action.
After the touchdown, the clock does stop here with 8:36 left in the fourth quarter. And going back, though, to your analysis of the entire bracket, where I guess I saw OutsideTheHuddle.net, for example, and they do awesome
They do a great job.
coverage around here. Had Sir Hale as one of the 5 players to watch in this sectional. They called Eastside the favorite. I think Eastside's the highest ranked team in the state AP poll at number 4. But again, you're going to like Luers' chances against anyone.
Yeah, so did Game Night, Sideline Swami, who I do the radio show with.
Yeah, Casey O'Boyle.
Yeah, he
awesome.
likes Eastside too, which they won the sectional last year. They brought back a lot of their guys from last year. They've had some impressive wins against Angola. But I still like the way Luers matches up individual by individual, player by player, across the board to find mismatches. As a coach, you want to coach discipline first, and offensively, you have to find the mismatch and take advantage of them. Here's a freshman, Jalen Lee. Is he a sophomore?
Sophomore with a spark on special teams on the return.
Yeah, but I just like the way Luers matches up across the board with Fairfield and Eastside or whoever else they may play, just by pure athleticism, strength, and schedule. Saying that, Fairfield's going to be a different animal like we talked about. It's a triple option. You have to play such a fundamentally sound defensive game where you have to take care of every gap. It has to be gap assignment. You have to have cornerbacks that are willing to come up and take a pitch man, and you got to have defensive ends that are going to take a quarterback. But you can't. The biggest thing is B gap. You got to take away that second gap and that first handoff.
Here, a handoff for Gio Jimenez. There's a freshman.
Got a new quarterback in there, John. His name's Charlie Stansky. People are familiar with that name. His dad is the offensive coordinator, and his uncle Scott Stansky took Bishop Luers to a state championship in 1996.
One of 11 state titles here for the Knights.
96
in
we
the
were
entire
runner-up,
state.
but it was a great team.
Go! Beat those Wildcats! Go, Nate!
Another handoff for Jimenez.
Beat those Wildcats! Go, Nate! Go! Beat those Wildcats! Go, Nate! Go! Beat those Wildcats! Beat those Wildcats!
Another intangible, too.
Wildcats!
And I'm sure you've talked with Coach Lindsay about this as well, but he really loves the mental side and how coachable this team is and sort of just their internal fortitude. It feels like this team has more of an edge to it than maybe last year's group.
Yeah, when we talked about that little, that's some physicality. When we talked about that little ump that we talked about going into the second season, he actually looked at me and said, this team has practiced well all year. So that tells me that they didn't need the ump, they just had it. And they just weren't as good at times as the competition they played. But I know one of their things that they need, that they are working on is fundamental discipline. I mean, those are the intangibles that are going to take you to win you a state title.
That was a handoff for Mark Taylor, a sophomore. Stansky chucks it to the near side. That's a completion. Johnny Bloom, a fellow sophomore.
Great route, great throw. Quick hitch on the sideline. Charlie Stansky throws it on the break.
4-yard gain. It's 4th and 3. And the young guys will get a chance to go for it. Stansky hands it off. Looks like Jimenez close. First down. Some of the greener offensive linemen as well.
Yeah, they got a freshman at center. They got Garrett Schwederman at left guard, who works in with the first group. He's kind of that tweener guy that they bring in, take out. He's had a great year. There's an edge.
Jimenez surges in, touchdown Knights. The freshman with his first career TD on varsity. An exclamation point for Bishop Luers.
That's got to feel good for a freshman to get in a sectional game to score a touchdown.
And you can see why he's the one who's in here in this case. Similar to Sir Hale, a different type of speed than Whitko's seen all year.
You got a great block by a sophomore, Jaden Sykes. He locked up, flipped his hips to the outside, sealed the edge, and let Gio run around.
Jordan Sykes, a 6-foot sophomore. And tack on another extra point to make it 56-0. Sydney Strack, excuse me, perfect tonight, along with Roel Pineda. All smiles for Sydney and the Knights.
We want to shout and cheer, rah, rah, every time they ask us who the Knights are. We'll be proud.
Polypro is more than some water epoxy spray-on. Our multi-stage process bonds to the surface and carries a 15-year warranty. Polypro is more than just spray and go. We'll prepare, grind, and patch the surface before we start. And Polypro is more than just 1 or 2 color options. Choose from a variety of designer colors and know that we'll leave the site clean, beautiful, and 100% antibacterial and antimicrobial. You want more out of your garage, patio, basement, or commercial space, and Polypro gives you more. Call for your free estimate or to schedule for summer.
It's the second season, and Bishop Luers has started it in scintillating fashion, up 56-0 on Whitko, and this is an indication of how the SAC is in the conversation as one of the top conferences in the entire state, really in the mix with the Indy area conferences. And not only here tonight, but elsewhere on the south side, we see the Southside Archers, an opponent for Luers a couple weeks ago.
30-12.
Against New Haven, an NE8 school, and then another SAC versus NE8 matchup is Wayne ahead of Huntington North.
12-8. So the SAC's doing well week 1 against some of these out-of-conference teams. And that's what people never know how good the SAC really is, because we don't have the non-conference games.
Yeah, literally all 9 games in the regular season are in conference.
Yeah.
Throwing out a hypothetical here.
Yeah.
What would you think about potentially having 2 divisions in the SAC for football, and then maybe having it where you play everyone in your division, but you're only having 2 or 3 crossover crossover games, but you do.
I think I'm old school in the fact that I like playing the conference schedule, and I think Bishop Luers, at some point, is a disadvantage when your record's not as good. But there's years where we win an SAC title too. I think it depends on 2 good classes at Bishop Luers in a row. Oh, almost stick there by Jalen Lee. And there's an advantage to what you're saying too. Like a small conference, big conference, and you play some outside schools that kind of your size, for example, that could help Luers too get some momentum earlier. But I feel like if the Luers team can stay a majority healthy, then they're in good shape for the playoffs. Now, if they get banged up and they have 5 or 6 starters out going into the playoffs, it could hurt. Eastside is a big winner over Bluffton, and Fairfield is a big winner tonight as well. So it looks like Bishop Luers will be going to Fairfield.
Couldn't get the shutout, but checked off nearly every other box you want to see.
Absolutely. They started slow, a couple penalties, the turnover on the special teams, but they really cleaned it up. I feel like the offense scored on every possession, the starters. It was just a great half of football, great game. Good to see the young guys get in. Now we move on to Fairfield, what we talked about. Got to work on the triple option this week and have discipline to stop it.
Last to get to work with you, and thanks so much for the incredible job.
Oh, I'm just an amateur. You are the true professional. It's an honor to work with you.
Big thanks everyone behind the scenes on our crew here tonight. We had some technical hiccups along the way, but glad to be able to have this game online in its entirety. So there's a fire bunch, rightfully so. Fairfield up next on the road next week. Any final words?
Good luck Knights next week.
Well said.
That's it.
Saying thanks for watching and so long on the south side of the Luers. I could shoot the last part.